All right, it is 7 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call to order the March 3rd, 2025 Parks, Rec, and Forestry Commission meeting. First order of business will be roll call.
Okay, Nick Adams.
I am here.
David Shaw.
Here.
Michelle Bond emailed, she is traveling and unable to attend. Jamie O'Donnell.
Here.
Eric Pollock.
Here.
Aria. Here. How do you pronounce your name?
Trucios.
Aria Trucios. Here. Lily Tressler.
Here.
And Katie Nelson.
Here.
Wonderful. So you have quorum.
All right, next order of business will be to acceptance of the minutes from our last meeting. So does anybody have any changes or additions, subtractions to those minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll accept those minutes as submitted. So we're gonna do a little bit of a switcheroo. We're gonna move agenda item number 3 up to the top. So you can get out into the school board meeting, get this evening, so.
Sure. So we had a few companies come in to take a look at the sound system at the pool. Mainly for safety reasons. The current sound system was so loud that it was scaring the kids up at the bathhouse, but you couldn't actually hear anything on the other side of the pool, which doesn't bode well for an emergency situation. We also don't want to scare the littles. So we talked to 3 different companies, and we are planning on working with audio contractors. They specialize in outdoor audio systems, and they just finished Mount Olympus. So they're very good at what they do, and we feel very positive about sticking with them. I don't know if there's any questions.
No, I will move approval of the award of quote to audio contractors. Not to exceed $24,542.91. And yeah, that's it.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, on to the next agenda item, which will be the baseball softball field improvements.
Okay, and as I mentioned, we have Mike Hins from MBSC on the Zoom call if you have questions.
So am I able to talk here, Kevin?
To give back a little bit of background, if you wouldn't mind just kind of sharing the project a little bit, and Kevin will kind of fill us in from the staff perspective as well.
Okay. Well, my name is Mike Hins, and I'm with the MBSC. And a lot of you might just be asking, who is the MBSC anyways? So the Middleton Baseball and Softball Commission, MBSC, has been overseeing community youth baseball and softball programs for young men and young women since 1967. We are, excuse me, a nonprofit organization for charitable purposes under IRS code 501c3. And all the residents of the Middleton Cross Plains School District are eligible to participate in our programs. The commission is currently composed of 19 members who serve without any compensation for their services. I personally have been involved with the commission for over 35 years now and have seen a lot of this development of city facilities. The MBSC functions in conjunction with the City of Middleton to help provide recreational activities for area youth. The city recognized the public benefit of the MBSC's work and has entered into agreement with the MBSC and the school district for the use and improvement of city-owned baseball and softball facilities. In 2003, we had a dream to work with the city to build a premier four-diamond baseball and softball facility at Firefighters Memorial Park. And you all know where that's located, at Airport Road in Pleasant View. The first games at the facility were held in 2006. To make Firefighters facility as functional and comfortable to all of the patrons, the MBSC constructed and financed a concession and restroom at the center of the complex. The building was opened in 2009, and by 2012, the MBSC was able to retire our loan and transfer ownership and dedicated the building to the city. Since 2011, the MBSC has made approximately $1.13 million worth of improvements at Firefighters, including the concession building, the indoor practice facility, the storage shed for city electrical and maintenance equipment, batting cages, bullpens, planted 15 maple trees adjacent to the diamonds. We spent nearly $40,000 in 2023 to repair the bullpens and provide laser grading and top dressing for all the diamonds at Firefighters Memorial Park. So we are pleased again to help the city with some projects to improve the facilities, including the new fence tops at Firefighters, fixing the lights at Orchid Heights, and providing a light for the flagpole there at Firefighters. So I thought, since I haven't been to any meetings in quite a long time and we have a lot of new members, I thought it was appropriate just to give you a little background of who we are and how we help out the city with promoting their facilities. That's what I have there.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So Kevin, if you want to kind of fill us in on from the staff perspective on the three requests.
Yeah, so as Mike mentioned, there's three requests. Fence caps would be replacement of caps on the fields at Firefighters Memorial Park. These are materials that were purchased by MBSC with approval from City Middleton Parks crew. We will be installing those. And second being the lighting up of the flagpole at Firefighters Memorial Park. Let's see here. Electrician will be pulling the permits for that, and I believe the park crew, I don't know who's installing that one. And the final one is the Orchid Heights field light replacement. So this is if you remember back to the May 21st storm, this is the light pole that came down at Orchid Heights. So with the help of MBSC, we're going to get that back up so that we can light the field up. So we're working on materials for that. So what we're looking for from the commission is to approve the facility improvements to Firefighters Memorial Park and Orchid Heights Park, baseball and softball fields, contingent on staff's conditions related to each improvement.
I'll go ahead and move that we approve the improvements of Firefighters Memorial Park and Orchid Heights Park, contingent on staff's conditions and approval.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Any
Yeah.
questions?
A flagpole light, an uplight is something that we're trying to avoid for sustainability reasons. I'm not sure how late, is this going to be on all the time? All night long?
That would be my understanding, to light up the flagpole at night.
Is it an uplight or a downlight?
My understanding is it is an uplight, so it'd be on the ground pointing up at the flagpole.
Yeah, I mean,
It would be on the fascia of the building pointing up at the flag.
It would then have to probably be in compliance with our new lighting code,
which I don't think allows uplighting.
right? I don't know if there's an exemption made for flag illumination, like American flag illumination. I'm not familiar enough with the code quite yet.
I guess that neither am I. I think that falls under the staff's approval.
Mhm.
Can you ensure that it's in compliance with the new ordinances?
We can look at the proposed lighting and make sure that that comes into compliance with the lighting code.
They do have toppers for flag poles to light the flag from above to avoid issues. So that might be an option if it's not allowed by ordinance. And I mean, I understand the ordinance and I agree that trying to have dark sky and avoid uplighting is a good thing.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we need to change that motion to reflect that, or is that good enough?
No, I think your
saying-
motion said based on conditions of staff or meeting staff conditions.
It did. So
Yeah.
Understood. Okay,
one of your conditions.
perfect. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or discussions on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, our agenda item, I guess, edit agenda item number 3 will be just kind of the feedback on the Conservancy Lands, draft of the Conservancy Lands plan for 2025 through 2030.
All right.
You all got a copy of that early last week. Hopefully we had a chance to look through it and read through and Kylie and Kim kind of give us a little bit of things to focus on, areas of this document to focus on. So I'm guessing, Dave, you kind of worked a little bit with the CLC.
Right, so I've had it a little bit longer. Despite that fact, I'm still into chapter 5 reviewing. And so far I have found lots of tiny little minutia things that aren't worth talking about here.
Okay.
So I don't think that I need to discuss anything here right yet, and I didn't see anything in my overview that I thought was a problem. I don't know about anybody else, maybe someone else saw things.
So I can go through kind of chapter by chapter, give you an overview of what I have here. If you have any questions along the way, happy to answer those. Basically, we're looking for feedback to the Conservancy Lands Committee and Common Council for final adoption. So I can go through as much as you like. So May of 2024, Conservancy Lands Committee recommended approval of an agreement with Adaptive Restoration. The restoration ecologist Evelyn Williams and her team have been working on the draft since, and attached is the draft of the plan. So the Conservancy Lands Committee has asked in this process that Water Resources Management, Stormwater Utility Commission, Plan Commission, this commission, Parks Rec Forestry, and the Ped Bike and Transit Committee review the plan, provide feedback. So I'll go through the executive summary. Basically, this is the chapter where you have an outline of the process of the plan. The objectives are in here, a statement of need or the why behind this plan. So the previous plan is expired, and this is a standard component of grant eligibility in the 2021 City of Middleton Comprehensive Plan. We're directed to conduct regular updates of these and other plans. You've got a summary of the Conservancy Lands system, value of what the Conservancy Lands bring to the city in ecological services, and an outline of the future of these Conservancy Lands. You've got an overview chapter that gives you brief info on the Conservancy Land system. We've redrawn the maps for all of the lands. We've kind of reorganized how those lands are defined. We've renamed some to show how they're most used, and we've changed the number of units by subcategorizing things. So like instead of having a Bach Community Forest and a Pheasant Branch, Bach Community Forest is a subunit of the Pheasant Branch. It just makes more sense geographically. Goals and objectives chapter, and this is I like this image because to list them out seems to show order of importance, and really these goals are all interconnected. So we worked with a stakeholder group to redefine these, to add new ones, and to reorder these from the last plan. Operations chapter gives you an idea of how the staff and volunteers are run, gives you an idea of the budgets involved and how those have changed or not changed over time. Public outreach. So this is, I think, the part of the plan that really speaks to what we did here. So we had a public survey that had over 900 respondents to it. So I think the last survey was somewhere around in the 400 range. We held 5 public engagement meetings at area parks adjacent to conservancies, met with various friends groups. The consultant had 7 meetings with staff from not only the Parks Department, but planning, engineering, stormwater, and then stakeholder meeting with those really intimately involved with our conservancies. So really reaching out and trying to get as much information from our residents and neighbors. System inventory. So this is a chapter where each conservancy land has a page where you've got a map of the plan, a description of the unit, the acreage, previous plans, what activities have been happening in this in the last years, what the basic needs are. Vegetation and wildlife chapter is basically an inventory of basically mining publicly available data. So things like iNaturalist, Cornell, the bird, help me out. The eBird, thank you. The eBird app, finding out what people are seeing in the conservancies in the way of wildlife and vegetation. And David, I opened your email. Birds are in fact wildlife.
I sort of thought so.
I know. Yep.
I mean, if they want to list them separately, I don't care. I
Yeah.
guess.
Of interest here, the trail facilities map or chapter. So this chapter kind of looks at how our trail facilities have changed over time, looked at needs for the systems such as signage, looked at concerns that came up in our surveys, such as like public safety on paths with the different users and the maybe the crowding that's happening, some of the things that are happening with e-bikes and the increased use of those on the paths. Interface areas. So this chapter is a new chapter from the last plan, and this is one that looks at how our stormwater facilities integrate with our conservancy areas, how our parks, especially those that are adjacent to our conservancies, interface with the lands, and defines a new area, which is native vegetation management areas that don't necessarily fit into conservancies, but are areas that are managed for native vegetation. So if you know Boundary Road Park, it's a small park that has a oak woodland sitting behind it. So it's not necessarily a conservancy, but it's an area that might be managed for native vegetation. And then conclusion chapter and recommendations, and then appendix that give you the survey information, the maps, our prioritization matrix, which helps staff allocate resources, and then a bird species list and water quality. Timeline for this, Conservancy land saw it at the end of February. Tonight we're seeing it here in Parks, Recreation, Forestry. As I said, the CLC has requested that Pet Bike Transit look at this, Plan Commission, Water Resources. Conservancy lands will take one more look at it at the end of the month with feedback from these committees and commissions, and then make a recommendation and hopefully we see this adopted by Common Council. So I think that's, so public comment. This is a screenshot of the website from the parks page here. It has a link to the plan, and then there's a link below it that takes you to a form where anyone can provide comments or feedback on this. So again, what we're looking for here is any feedback from this commission regarding the plan to take to Conservancy Lands to make recommendation to Common Council.
Thank you for the overview. So going to open it up to discussion.
First of all, I think it's a really lovely and comprehensive document. I think you've made it pretty user-friendly for anyone who wants to look at it. So good job on that.
Yeah, I think for a public facing document, it's really a good tool, but then also it's going to be something that staff uses all the time. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't something that we plan on using the next 5 years.
Very nice.
I thought Kevin Munson's photographs were very nice. I like those. But it just overall, yeah, I agree. It's just very well done.
See, I didn't see any like glaring, content issues. I'll say where I kind of got a little bit from the user standpoint of and not having a clickable table of contents. Because like if I wanted to just read chapter 8, I had to scroll all the way to the top and.
Which I was going to add that to my comment.
Okay.
Because it's Evelyn, but I assume that in the final document. that will
Yes,
Be taken care of.
I assume the same thing.
A
That this
searchable
is,
PDF, yeah.
Well,
Yep.
it's searchable, but also links to various things. So you
Yeah.
can just click on the table of contents. Again, I mean, most of what I saw was formatting and
yeah, and
punctuations.
I guess, and maybe this is just how I opened it on my computer, but a lot of times like the PDFs, especially if they're multiple chapters, will have the link on one of the sidebars, like either the left or the right, where you can, it'll leave the outline open, and then you can kind of click it through that way
Okay.
too.
Yep.
Because what I ended up having to do with the document, at least the way I opened it, was clicking strong all the way back up to the top.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's got any links, therefore it
Yeah.
doesn't have that structure
Yeah.
for Adobe, so.
I look forward to adding to your bird list.
All right, excellent.
I'm trying to pull that up right now.
I've got some photos of stuff that you guys don't have on your list.
Oh, excellent.
Any other comments or feedback?
I didn't see it really plans for planting lots of trees. Is it just because we're doing the oak savanna thing? That's just one tree for a few miles, or? Is that what?
I think that's where we can make a distinguishing between this overall conservancy lands plan, and then when we have individual management plans for areas such as, like this year, we'll see a plan for the Graver Pond Conservancy. We'll see one for Bach Community Forest, and those plans will get into specifics of vegetation management. So, I would expect us to have some really concrete recommendations for the existing oak savanna at Bach, how to handle that over the next 10 years or so. And those are the plans where I would anticipate seeing recommendations such as planting these tree species, quantities of these species, where they belong, where they might not be the best idea. So that's probably beyond the scope of this plan.
Anybody else?
Looking for an action.
We've got a motion and a second.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
No, I don't think this is
None of
really
this.
actionable. It just says
No,
provide
we're
feedback.
just looking for feedback at
Yeah.
this point. So,
Okay.
yeah. I think I've got notes here, and as I said, if you have comments as an individual, I would encourage you to use that link that's in the on the Parks page. I can email that out if anyone can't find it. But yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay. There's no other comments. We'll move on to liaison reports. So we did have plan commission last week, which is a pretty overall quick and non-controversial meeting, I'll say. Really, the only thing we think of substance, nothing really that applies to us here, but there was just a request from Tabby and Jax to cover all their windows on one of their west-facing windows, because they've been getting sun damage to some of their products. And then there was also Frank Beverage is going to expand, so we approved the plans for that. But that's pretty much it from that. David.
Seven Sea Lands. We just discussed probably the biggest thing that, as far as the with the plan, outside of that, I can't think of anything that was real parks related the last meeting.
I think that was our only agenda item.
The other thing that I'll say sort of secondarily, the plan talks about having some sort of liaison between the transit ped bike and transit and Conservancy Lands, which I think is a good idea, but I think we also probably ought to just think in general about other connections that might be missing that we could add, whatever those may be.
And then Erica?
And the community campus committee met and discussed the 6 different options, like keep redoing the buildings, or remodeling and adding on, or tearing it all down. They're going to come back with some numbers of how much everything will cost. I think most of us agree we should tear it down
Mhm.
and do everything. It would be like a library and the city hall be together. And then some the senior center would be by itself. And then there would be room for maybe some extra space.
All right, well, thank you all, and we have no more agenda items, so I will declare this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
It's quickish one at night, so.
Quickish.
All right, have a good night, everyone.
And I'm not a cert, but I was not here.
You're correct. And that's the second time experience.
It's okay.
So.
I don't keep track, if it helps.
So we had at a meeting with.
Going around.
Not tennis, because I was that.
I was like,
well.
So Chancellor,
And the minutes reflected
the other
that
day.
you had posed something.
Essentially, Not really
I
saying,
can't think what that was.
Yeah, that was the.
Just to be the dome.
was it the-
everything's moving, we got to plan for the worst type thing, but.
I was
think
curious
some people
why
read it as,
why
oh my
you
gosh, this guy's falling.
posted.